Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Welcome to the Lawyer Henderson podcast show. Um, right. So we have some a lot of things to talk about. First, hit that thumbs up button, like, share, and subscribe. Uh, Like, share, and subscribe, family. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Now, let me talk about the trial that's going on with Kyle Rittenhouse. Then we'll talk about Travis Scott, and then, of course, we'll get into our conversation with why Christine Reed lost. Um, yeah, with Kyle Rittenhouse, Fox News, all of these news stations, they're trying to basically try to say that Kyle Rittenhouse basically was, you know, doing what he did for self defense. And number one, he was not supposed to basically, he was saying that someone called him to go protect property. Dude, you're 17 years old. Who is calling a 17-year-old child? Well, I won't say child, teenager, to go protect somebody's property in another state. Who's doing that? And so now he is trying to say that he's trying to play the victim now, that he killed two innocent people and injured one. And if you listen to Fox News, they're trying to say this is self-defense. It's not self-defense. Kyle Rittenhouse should be um, in jail for the rest of his life. But if you listen to Fox News and all these other people, they don't want to do that. They're trying to justify it. All of a sudden, when a white person is on trial, the law should work. That's what the law is there to. It should work. That's what they start saying. Before black person, oh, you niggers, you guilty, you this, you that, blah blah blah. You know how they do. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe, family. Now I want to talk about Travis Scott. I told y'all about the music industry. Eight or nine people died at Travis Scott's concert. I told y'all what label he signed. He signed with Epic, but the music industry have these types of movie rituals where somebody's gonna die, somebody's gonna get hurt, somebody's gonna die. That's part of the music industry. They are very satanic, very satanic. Y'all better start watching out when y'all sign with these labels. And Travis Scott, man, dude, just look crazy. Just look crazy. You know. So I don't know. Anyway, but just wanted to cover to make sure that you understand keeping up what's going on with with music and the trial. Also, Ahmaud Arbery's trial is happening at the same, where you got one in Kyle Rittenhouse. So be very mindful of that. That's how the white media is able to talk about, it's the Democrats, this blah 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 stuff. Especially Fox News. Fox, like, they like to play that. It's the left and all that crap. No, we don't play that game. Black media. The left, the right, both fellow white supremacists. They're on the wrong side of history. And Kasim Reed, is on the wrong side of history. Kasim Reed lost, as you know. The mayor, well, didn't lose, but he basically didn't have the votes that it take for him to be a part of the runoff in the runoff for a third term. And during his term, as you know, there was corruption. There was issues of him basically doing a lot of stuff. There was an investigation. Some of his main top, um, cabinet members got indicted and things of that nature. So everybody knew that Consumery was, the Mr. Gentrification. He basically wanted to go behind closed doors and do what the white folks tell him. So he was a black establishment. Even a former mayor, um, Shirley Franklin, did not want to cast him. I mean, support him. I miss the days of Shirley Franklin, man. Shirley Franklin was in office. Man, I had, man, women were choosing, women was making choosing signals that I just ignored. Dang, I miss when Shirley Franklin was in office. But no, let's get back to business. Let's get back to business. Let me stay focused. Well, there's a lot of women out when Shirley Franklin was mayor. But anyway, that's past. But let's go ahead and read the article regarding Kasim Reed. Richard Rose told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution there was an agreement among the organization leadership for him to release a rare repudiation of political candidate on behalf of the chapter. Okay. Now, this is November the 9th, 2021, I'm reading from. The NAACP typically refrains from endorsing a political party or speaking out about specific candidates. Today, I'm breaking that tacit protocol, Rose said in a written statement. Okay. To do anything less would be abdication of my mission to help move Atlanta forward, not backward. Okay. However, the organization national CEO in 2017 changed the NAACP in a 501c4, which allows them to engage in political campaigns, provided that such activities are not organization's primary activity, according to the IRS. And unclear what this repudiation means. Repudiate. He's saying that he's trying to repudiate. Means race. He is a statistical tie with City Council President Felicia Moore. Now, remember, like I said, this is no mayor and U.S. Ambassador Andrew Young. Okay. In a statement to the AJC, Reed spokesman Torres called Rose claims false and wholly without merit. Mayor Kasim Reed is a lifetime member of the NAACP and is committed to mission and working on the path of breaking organization, Torres said in the statement. Mayor Kasim Reed is a lifetime member of the NAACP and a commitment to the mission of the work of this path-breaking organization. The allegations contained in the letter are false and wholly without merit. Our campaign is being attacked because we sought and received support from women and men of the Atlanta Police Department at the time when crime and violence is devastating our city. We remain honored to have support of the International Brotherhood of Police Officers, IBPO, Local 623, and are committed to making Atlanta safe and a manner that is consistent with our values at the cradle of the civil rights movement. And that's the problem. That's the problem. You see, there is like a different movement than a civil rights movement. The old civil rights generation is no longer leading the pack. No one is listening to the civil rights generation no more. And Reed basically, he know this. White people know this. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe, family. White people know that we're just not listening to these bootlicks. Okay, they know that these folks have sold us out. They know that we're not listening to them because they have sold us out. So we're not listening to them. And the reason why Kasim Reed had basically failed is because people have saw, and a woman also confronted him where she was forced out of her house. And he promised that he was going to do something for her. And I still remember that. Kasim Reed is on the wrong side of history. You see, here's the thing about the black establishment. The establishment, they like to get the backing of the police union. They like to get the backing of the Catholic Church, the clergy, the civil rights Negroes like Andrew Young. They make sure they get all these white folks to vote for them and say, "We have your back," because when you are a mayor, we want you to focus on crime. And why do they want you to focus on crime? Because it's not about bringing any kind of resources in the black community. It's about to continue to keep the black community powerless. And if you Negroes get out of line, here's the police to stop you. That's Kasim Reed. He is a part of the old establishment, part of the old civil rights generation, and their ideas that they know is not working on the young. It goes on to say here that it's unfortunate that leaders of a local chapter is allowing this historic organization to be used by a dark money interest, as if the NAACP is powerful. We have spoken to the national leadership of the NAACP and will await their guidance regarding this deeply disturbing matter. And it's nothing deeply disturbing what he said. We have a lot of people who is trying to sound like us here in the New Voices of Black Media. Okay, we have a lot of people who are trying to sound like us. So it's nothing that disturbing. The NAACP have already always made controversial statements, but still yet it does not get us to our economic situation and deal with our reality about economics. But it continues here. Goes on to say that Rose donated 500 to the city councilman and mayor candidate Andrew Dickens' campaign. And according to Dickens' September 30 finance disclosure, both the local NAACP said Thursday that the organization itself did not contribute to any of the candidates. The organization said no dark money is at play at the chapter, and full executive board voted on the statement. You see, they trying to run like this organization that has some type of power. We don't want the NAACP talking for us. We don't want no civil rights leaders talking about their supporting black folks. We on the grassroots level is not listening to these folks. But they still try to go out there, present themselves as if they're representing us. And we had enough of it. Thumbs up. Goes on to say, additionally, Rose slammed Reed's endorsement from the city police union and condemned that group for never acknowledging police misconduct. In a statement, Rose said 7 unarmed black people were killed by police during Reed's administration, and Rose insinuated that the deaths could have been avoided by Reed embraced President Barack Obama's 21st century policing policy, whatever that is, because, well, hell, when he was in office, Mike Brown got shot and killed. So, whatever that means. And that's the reason why we can't support these Negroes in the NAACP. Rose claimed Reed wasted taxpayers' dollars trying to wrest land from Clark Atlanta University and Morris Brown College in a fight that diverted substantial funds from those schools. Rose also said Reed administration never tried to move to remove Confederate monuments and other traitorous horrendiums around the city, aimed the national movement to do so. Listen, this is what we're talking about. As Amos Wilson talked about the late great Harold Cruz, saying that the NAACP has a non-economic liberal agenda. We're not a part of we don't want to be a part of that foolishness. You understand? We're talking about real tangible benefits for the black community. We're talking about all the money. See what these Negroes do, they go behind closed doors and they sit down with these white folks, and the white folks get all of the city contracts. They get most of all the business contracts. They get all the money allocated to their neighborhoods, and they want to throw out symbolic gestures to us. No, so we're not. See the younger black generation. We're not playing that game. Okay, thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. We're talking about real, tangible benefits. It goes on to say in a phone call with the Atlanta Voice, the city's black owned newspaper, Reed called Road a fund the police advocate. End quote. He said his administration expanded affordable housing and gave Morris Brown funds to regain their footing. Reed also said that the NAACP national leadership is flabbergasted by Rose's action. The national group did not respond to the AJC request for comments. By Julian Bean, a former Invest Atlanta board member, told the AJC that the city money went to creditors in Morris Brown bankruptcy, not to Morris Brown itself. Before we go on to end this piece on the article, let's talk about Morris Brown a little bit. See, when we let these bootlicking Negroes come into historically black colleges and misrepresent the funds, misrepresent certain types of things that should be focusing on the development of the education of the kids, funding to make sure that infrastructure is to par. We get a lot of these bootlicking Negroes, sellout Negroes that goes in there and destroy the infrastructure. They steal all the money, like that woman at Morris Brown. Man, she stole all the money and stuff, which caused the collapse of the system of that college, that university, that historically black college. And this is what we're talking about. We're talking about black people doing things on an individual level. I've always said throughout the commentary, if you listen to me, in certain types of commentary, is that black folks, we never done anything on a individual level. White folks deal with situations on an individual level. They like to deal with us on an individual level. That's the reason why they have basically for so long and too long kept us away from our tangible benefits. And the old civil rights generation, they were so cowardly to point this out. They were so cowardly to point out that basically we are basically by 2053, we have no wealth, okay, because of the strategy of this whole civil rights generation selling us out. But finally, the article says that Hall that left several members of the Reed's administration with the indictment of conviction. When they talk about Hall, they're talking about let's see, what was that guy's name that they were talking about? They were upset with Reed on a lot of stuff, about a lot of about the Mercedes Benz Stadium. Okay, but we'll get to Hall in a minute. I thought I had his, yeah. Um, but they were talking about this dude, Reed, you know, about the money, taxpayers' dollars that could have went, that if they would have taxed the Mercedes Benz Stadium, then they would have been able to have more money for the schools, especially for these black schools where our kids go to. But of course, they don't care. But anyway, it says Hall that left several members of Reed's administration with indictments of convictions. Reed's personal attorney said in a statement to the AJC that they were told by federal prosecutors that he is not under investigation. Now remember, the state and the federal government, they don't go after you as long as you are not doing anything for black folks. Reed had done a lot of stuff that was crooked, that was conniving, that was against federal law. But didn't, since he didn't do something for black folks, they said, "All right, we're not going to prosecute you." You see, like I said earlier, these fools, they go behind closed doors and they negotiate with the white folks, and the white folks still say, "Well, y'all not negotiating enough for us, so we want to start our own city." And that's the situation. They want to break Atlanta from Buckhead now. They got some white investors. Every time that black people are sitting there making decisions, white folks don't want to listen to it. They think that they can make so much money from it because these Negroes, they're disorganized. You got a lot of black folks, they're moving over to the suburbs, so that the black community, which is empty of black folks, could be gentrified so they could let a lot of folks in from these foreign territories. But anyway, that's another whole situation and commentary for itself. It goes on to say, though, that I want to go to the Mercedes Benz statement. Man, I just can't talk today. Um, where they talked about the kids would have benefited if had there been taxes on the Mercedes Benz Stadium. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe, family. Here we go. Let me see. Um, let me see. Okay. Yeah, it says that the tax benefits. They know that as they were basically getting taxes from the rental units and getting other taxes, and they wanted to tax the Mercedes-Benz Stadium so that they can get tax money that would have went to the schools. But Kasim Reed didn't want them to tax these folks. Okay, that was an estimate with the Beltline, the rental units, and other types of benefits, along with taxing the Mercedes Benz, that would have brought in additional 200 something million dollars, 265 million extra cash for schools, 12 million from the Mercedes Benz Stadium alone, right? So we see that since Maynard Jackson had left, we have not had a black politician in Atlanta that has not done anything for the people. And I, I don't know Felicia Moore and I don't know Andrew Dickens. Okay, but Shirley Franklin is right. I basically agree with her. I think that putting Andrew Dickens in there, the white folks want Felicia Moore because they always go with the black woman because they perceive her as being the one that they can always go and go to and knock on the door of. They probably can do that with Andrew Dickens because it seemed like that, Andrew Dickens, it's the same way. So I don't really know. It's too early, you know, to basically to see what he's gonna do or if he win or if Felicia Moore win. But to the people who keep on saying that Atlanta, that we keep on voting for the establishment, let me just say this about that. We understand now that it's just not just because you go and get the endorsement of the clergy, just because your pastors are voting for people like Kasim Reed, that does not mean that the black community as a whole is going to vote for that same person. See, we as black people, we're waking up to the fraud and the scandals of these black politicians and their bought and paid for bootlicking Negroes who they put out in front of us during the time when it's time for us to get our tangibles. So so when Kasim Reed talk about, well, I got the endorsement of Andrew Young, I got the endorsement for the International Brotherhood of Police Officers or the local C23. I'm on that path of the civil rights movement. It's time for Atlanta and other black folks in cities to move past the civil rights movement. I think the younger generation don't want that movement and its ideals anymore. That's not to say that we can't celebrate it, but I think it's time for us to move away from the civil rights movement. And I think that that was just like a era in time that we should forget. And I think black children are moving away from that. And that's what frightens white folks. White people want us to continue to keep that civil rights game going so that they basically can, could use that as a way of continuing to give us symbolic gestures and not do anything tangible for us. But basically, the reason why, and this is the reason why Kasim Reed is not going to get a third term, and he did not, he did not win, or it was not in that runoff election, I should say, is because he's on the wrong side of history. Black people are waking up to these politicians. We're asking questions now, right? And the question is, are y'all going to do something tangible for us? If not, do not ask for our vote. Kasim Reed basically had, we can look empirically and see that he basically was gentrifying us and worried about, you know, doing what the white folks wanted him to do, city contracts going to almost all white business people, where the black business contractors could not get a lot of money and basically to do a lot of business with the African American community. The city contracts went to mostly white folks. And that's what happened, and that's the game that they play. A game that we're calling out, by the way. You understand? And so they also said here that because of his previous federal investigations, and like I said, his cabinet members being found guilty and stuff, it was just too much scandal. And to put that man back in office, man, uh, it will be a waste of time because, like I told you, um, it's time for us to deal with black folks as a group. You see, we've been with this individualism stuff for too long. African people, they've been with that tribalism crap, and it just don't work for black folks. It just doesn't work. And it says here in the letter It says during the Reid administration, the movement towards safe, affordable housing came to a screeching halt. Because of this action, no units were planned since the administration of Shirley Franklin. Instead, generous tax benefit flowed to help finance upper income condominiums and rental units along the Beltline in downtown. This is the article I tried to find earlier. New college graduates from Tech, the AUC, Emory, and Georgia State can hardly afford to live in Atlanta. Because of the machinations of Reed's, I hope I said the right, administration, the gleaming new Mercedes Benz Stadium paid no property taxes, yet consumed substantial city services and police protection. Mhm. It taxed appropriately. If taxed appropriately, an estimate 12 million could benefit Atlanta's K 12 school children in addition to county and city officers. Mr. Reed had announced the endorsement of the police union IPBO, a group that has never acknowledged police misconduct. The matter has how egregious because of its policies and practices. Most black police officers are not members of that union. One retired black APD sergeant called the IPBO the Klan. Notably, Mr. Reed did not embrace President Obama's 21st century policy, policing policy that, if implemented, might have saved black lives. There were 7 police killings of unarmed blacks during the Reed administration, and another 4 since. Prime black-owned property was fair game for Atlanta agencies under Kasim Reed. And black neighborhoods in the Atlanta University Center, Reed wasted taxpayers' dollars trying to wrest Clark Atlanta and Morris Brown land away, a fight that diverted substantially funds from their educational mission of educating black students. Corruption appeared to be rampant under Mr. Reed, with the reported 7 indictments and convictions, including Chief Financial Officer Baird. His lawyers claim that Mr. Reed is no longer under investigation, but we have heard no such declaration from the U.S. Attorney's Office. And I'll stop right there. You see, this is what we're talking about. If see with Kawane Patrick in Detroit, and we must understand that politician, a black politician, have to always go into office and they have to sit down with all of your sellout Negroes and they all go behind closed doors and make promises to white folks that everything is going to stay normal. We're not going to invest in the black community, but we will, like I said earlier, give you police officers so they won't be acting rowdy Negroes. They won't act up or act a fool in the city. You see, we don't need more police officers on the street. That was his game plan. That was his game plan when he ran the first time. The Negro always had to talk about more police officers and crime because that sounds good to white people. When you talk about more police protection, hell, that's the reason then why the police was created in the first place. Is to protect who? White folks and white people's property. Let's not talk about then allocating money in the black communities so that black folks can have businesses and jobs there. That basically, if they did have that opportunity, it would decrease crime. You see, these folks are not stupid. They know what decreases crime. If we have businesses in our communities and we're able to hire black folks in those communities, they will go to work. If they will go to their businesses and run those businesses like we did in our segregation years. But these politicians along with, with white folks like to go behind closed doors and say, well, you can't promise these Negroes anything. And that's the reason why the black community continues to be powerless. And your dedicated, well, not your dedicated, but your most striving, most knowledgeable black people, they move out of the black neighborhoods and they go into the white neighborhoods, helping white folks to build up their ecological system and contributing to an economy to a people who already have plenty anyway, whether it be by stealing it, whether it be by taking it, whether it be by engineering it only into their neighborhoods, taking all the business contract loans, money, assets, and resources. And so these white developers, they're wanting to separate Buckhead so that they can undermine what the black folks sitting on the Atlanta City Council has to talk about their concern, which is also going to take millions and millions away from the taxes that Atlanta needs in order to run the city. They've been for years trying to get Buckhead as a city. See, when white folks don't like what's going on, they like to separate. And then they always try to say, well, well, what are you talking about, racism? And since black people play dumb with racism, that gives them an opportunity to go on, and then they're never challenged. They go unscathed without being challenged on their racism. Let's talk about it. During Reed's, let's go back to when you talk about Clark Atlanta and Morris Brown, when they were fighting, of course, for those funds for the school. Additional taxes that could have been to save Morris Brown and Clark Atlanta. Reed decided that he was not going to support the school, and also he decided that he was going to flood out folks and take their land from them and kick them out of their home. As you know, that we tried to get the video, but the internet, every time that we get on the internet, the white supremacists, they like to mess with our internet and stuff. But I wanted to, I know that there's a video that shows that Kasim Reed getting confronted on with that black mom, that black mother who he forced out of her home because of the flooding and only gave her some chump change. And now it's too late for him to talk about making amends. When that woman confronted him, he was trying. You see how he was trying to leave and stuff. He basically he was trying to hurry up and talk about I gotta leave because he saw her in line, but she basically was able, to still speak and all this. Oh, let's be very respectful. No, a lot of black women were calling out this man because they basically is expecting for a black person, especially a black man, when you are in office, your people are looking at you to do something for them. We're not saying that you can't be the mayor for anybody else. What we're saying is that y'all have not been able. It's this benign and neglect policy that has been going on since the Richard Nixon years, and hell, we can go all the way back to slavery, what white folks have done, but that specific policy of benign neglect coming from the Democratic parties and everybody else getting something from the piece of the pie, man, let me tell you, that game is getting old. The younger black generation is not listening to y'all. We're not playing the games. We don't need hugs from white folks. We don't need to play that symbolic game. Okay. But the NAACP, yeah, we don't need them speaking for us. We got it. And you got all these other people on YouTube talking about how Atlanta is not doing this and Atlanta's not doing that. Folks, there are people in Atlanta like myself that has spoken out against this constantly. Let's just be very, very, very clear on that. Okay? Because we as black people, we're suffering because of the politics that these scary Negroes get us into, and they afraid to confront white people for what they're doing, and for all of the things and the things that white people have done for us. Thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. So we're not taking symbolic gestures from white folks no more. We don't need you to come out and knock down your monuments, as the NAACP said. This is the problem that we have with the NAACP. They say good, but it's not good enough. And like I told you, the discussion of the Buckhead turning into a city, like I said, they want to break so these white developers can do what they want and to take the taxpayers' money and to fix their own some more condominiums, fix some more businesses that nobody can stay in. That's their game plan, to gentrify black people out. And black folks just sit there and talk about, okay, we all alone. We are all in this together. No, you're not. If you're all in there together, if you have a multicultural partnership, then you should be able to show us the white person or a Asian person or a Hispanic person that you got the business with. No such thing. Mm-hmm. See, like I said, these civil rights Negroes and these bootlicking Negroes and politicians, they want to go behind closed doors with white folks and make decisions where we as black people are left without resources. They want to, like I said earlier, they want to make sure that black people go out working for jobs where we're sitting here and we're like, damn, we got to work on this job for a year just to take a vacation. Family, my thing is this. Ferguson happened under Obama's watch, and we turned up out of Obama's watch. Jim Crow Joe Biden got in office, and we quiet down a little bit. But folks, these people are still playing games with us, and we're not taking this no more. We're basically fed up with the civil rights generation. We're fed up with white folks lying to us, trying to manipulate us. And as Dr. Claude Anderson said, y'all need to stop tricking my people. Period. Now, let me look at this, and then we're almost done here. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. And reading this, we're going to use our fair use, because I know we have to say that constantly here in the black media, because the white media and ScrewTube, they like to basically cut off our channels, remove videos and stuff, talking about that we're um, racist and stuff. When I get a chance, I'm going to do a video on that critical race theory crap. Okay. I'm going to do a video on that critical race theory. No such thing. No such thing as critical race theory. Either slavery happened or it didn't. It's not the situation of making white children feel bad of what their ancestors did and what their parents is continuing to do. It is to make them aware as to why white people are in a position that they're in now because of robbery, theft, and all the things that they have done. So there's no such thing as critical race theory. No such thing. And we will have a whole podcast on that. White people are in a position that they in because of they stolen everything. They're in a position that what they're in because they have a system there. Okay. That's the bottom line. Ain't no such thing as no critical race theory. No such thing. Okay. Either slavery happened or it didn't. When someone wants to talk about critical race theory, all you have to do is ask them did slavery happen. If the answer is yes, then your debate is over. You understand? All you have to ask is did Jim Crow happen? Jim Crow segregation. Did that happen? Yes. Your discussion is over. You want to debate. All you have to ask them is there discrimination? Did black folks suffer from the fire bombs of what happened when they built up Black Wall Streets and other striving cities in this country? And if you said yes and you know the history, you say yes, that critical race theory crap goes out the window. There's no such thing as critical race theory. And like I said, it's not that it makes white children feel bad. White children must understand that their position in the world is privileged because we had an unprivileged and unfortunate situation that caused us to not get the same resources, the same benign neglect policy, the enslavement. White people got an opportunity to get loans from the Homestead Act. They have been lying to us, they have been tricking us for years, and they have been undermining us, bringing all these other races into this country, trying to put them on top of us. You see, that's not critical race theory. That happened. You see, slavery happened. Okay. See, I can see we basically in the black media, we argue. I think we can all agree that if discrimination did not have happen to black folks, if we wasn't enslaved, if we wasn't Jim Crowed, if we wasn't placed in a situation where we basically could not get loans or we could get loans from banks. We talked there also about when setting up the Freeman's Bureau for the all free slaves. You know, even at that point, white people came in stealing all the money from the black free slaves. Sort of reminded me of when Frederick Douglass was called in to head the Freeman's Bureau. you know, all of these different types of eras that happen in history, you see white folks there stealing everything and taking and robbing and doing all that. And then yet they want to tell us there is no such thing as critical race theory. If I can prove that that happened in history, then like I said, your critical race theory is out the door. Okay, and I think white children should learn about what their parents and ancestors have done and continue to do. They're not stupid. It's not just to go out and rally and protest with me. I don't need you to go out and rally and protest and hang up and just raise up some sign talking about defund the police. That's not the issue. The issue is resources. The issue is the fact that we basically get denied resources. And when I went down to that rally last year, well, in 2019, you see, the white folks down there, they were turning their head because I was telling them that black folks need resources. Why is white people, Hispanic people, Asian people, why are they not doing business with black businesses? When you ask them that, they stay quiet because they know that that is the issue. Killing, shooting, and killing our people. Yes, that's the reason why it happened. No one respect a people that is impoverished, that is in a segmented labor market, that is poor, that basically is in a community where there is a lack of resources. Those people are looked up on to be basically, um, to be messed with. It's kind of reminded me of when the late great Amos Wilson he talked there about that rat in psychology. He's always getting shocked. As he walking, every time he's getting shocked. And you know why he's getting shocked? Because he is placed into a cage where he is still trying to walk, right? And he's getting shocked when he tries to do everything right, but he still get that setback. He still gets shocked. Can't black people now see that you are the rat? You know what I'm saying? You are the rat. You are the rat that everybody gets to experiment with. You are the rat that everybody gets to mess with. You are the rat. You got to look at that. It doesn't matter what white folks think. because white people are going to always deny what but it doesn't matter for what they're thinking about it. Those, like I said, their critical race theory crap that the white supremacists came up with, and these white Jewish people also come up with as well. The white Jewish people, you got to watch them too, as Farrakhan said, because they're sitting right there with the white supremacists trying to figure out, well, how do we keep manipulating these Negroes? And black people are the only race of folks who believe that who believe that we stand and live in a multicultural society, and we're not. If you're living in a if you have multicultural business relationship with other races, I could see that. I can say, oh, okay, we're living in a multicultural society, but that's not the case. You can't show me the business relationship you have with other races. You can't. I'm sorry. I got to deal with reality. Okay. I'm not going to be caught up in not dealing with reality when I'm straight up looking directly at what's happening. I'm just not cowardly enough to say it here. Finally, we're going to talk about why Kasim Reed and all these civil rights Negroes, they're on the wrong side of history. See, just because you are a civil rights so called leader, or just because you get backed up by the police union, backed up by organizations that doesn't mean anything. In fact, the NAACP has lost power. That the black folks are now becoming very much educated to understand that there's a that there's a medium of exchange for our vote. You understand? If I'm going to basically give you a dollar, the dollar takes care of the product, right? Or whatever the cost of the product, it takes care of that. In other words, I'm giving you this money and I have purchased, from you, like for instance, this water. That's a medium of exchange. We've exchanged something for goods and values, services, things of that nature. The voting situation is the same thing. You see, back in 2019, 2020, they had to get black folks to go out there to force, they tried to literally force us to go out and vote for them and tried to shame us because we were like, well, who the hell are we voting for? They're not doing nothing for us. They wanted us to then to try to think that voting worked for us when we know that the system is not working. We stay home. People talking about, oh, people died for your vote. Stop it. People who have died for voting chose to go there and basically they got into a situation. That has nothing to do with the generation that's coming up here, even though their legacy there would live on. But what we're talking about now is way different than what we're talking about in the 1900s, 1930s. Let's talk about it. So, the black media has a different approach for the black community. We don't want the civil rights generation telling us that their strategies are going to work for us, and it doesn't. We know that their strategies doesn't work, and they know that their strategies doesn't work. Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, all these other Negroes in the clergy, they know, these pastors, they know that their strategy doesn't work. And that's the reason why when the kids they leave the church as they get older, because they see the church for what it is. They see the civil rights Negroes telling us to go out and march. And we're like, wait a minute, why are we marching for? Why are we rallying for? So now we're showing up at these race soldiers' homes who are shooting and killing our kids down in the streets, you see, because that's the only game plan that we have. That's all we got left now. Let's talk about it. So being on the wrong side of history, like Kasim Reed and all these other bootlicking Negroes are, they're going down as failures in our society. They're not heroes. You see, being on the wrong side of history means that you got to start supporting and giving a damn about your people. That what makes you on the right side of history. Kasim Reed on the wrong side of history because he basically support the police, the same police that shoot and kill black folks. He has a black daughter, okay? So he has to worry about that same police officer that is snatching other black women out of their cars at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Understand? And so, therefore, he's on the wrong side of the history because we've seen the white supremacists do this over and over again, where they keep on explaining as to why they cannot prosecute these race soldiers and give them 20, 40, 50, 60 years in prison for shooting and killing an unarmed black people. So now we're moving into a different era as to why basically we have to get something in exchange for our vote. And if we don't have nobody telling us that they're going to make promises for us, then we don't go out and vote. We stay home. They're asked, why you didn't go out and vote? Well, I didn't like the candidate. Why you didn't like him? Because he's not doing anything for my people. He's not doing nothing specifically for us as a group. And that's the issue that we basically have to deal with. Black people cannot afford to deal with things on an individual level. We have never done anything on an individual level. We have always done it as a group because the group is what's going to be the protection for us as a whole. Okay. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. I know ScrewTube, they hate that the black media is taking over. They cannot stand our podcast. They was talking about on YouTube. It's not like someone is sitting there watching all your YouTube videos. It goes into into some type of broadcast system. I mean, a situation where they supposed to put them at random based up on commentary. Yeah, right. You got people there watching like, damn, look at these radical Negroes. you know. But anyway, yeah, like, share, subscribe, leave your comments, and just talk about, is Kasim Reed on the wrong side of history, or what? And I think he is, and that's the reason why he is done as a politician. He might as well go ahead and get into private practice, or well, not private practice, but trying to run his own business, because public business, he's done. He's through. And we as black folks in Atlanta, we're getting smarter. In Georgia, we're getting smarter. Black people in California, they're getting smarter. Black people in Alaska, they're getting smarter. Black people in Alabama, they're getting smarter. Black people everywhere. And they're all asking the questions as to, what are y'all going to do as politicians for me? Why do I have to go out and vote for you? What are you going to do specifically for black folks? Thank you.